A 17-year-old girl left her hometown for the first time in her life, not to earn money, not to escape something, but only to see the ocean once in her life. That was the only dream, she told her father, before boarding the bus out of Kalasin, a small, poor province in northeastern Thailand, where she grew up in a home, with no mother, without much money, but with enough love from the father and the aunt who had raised her since she was 3 months old. Only 4 days after arriving in Pattaya, her body was found inside a suitcase, left beside a railway line, under the heat of the Thai summer. The man arrested was a 45-year-old man living in Australia, who spent the time after killing the victim going shopping, doing his laundry, and chatting with neighbors as if nothing had happened. Security cameras captured it all, every step, every action, and finally, the image of him dragging the suitcase out of the building after committing the crime. Early in the morning, on 26 June 2026, a friend of the victim came forward to report to Pattaya police. She said her friend, a girl named Tunchanok Donhomla, 17, from Kalasin, had been unreachable since the night before. The last time she saw her friend was when the girl was walking with a foreign man on a street near the coast in Pattaya. The friend who had been with Tunchanok did not just witness the two of them leaving together, she also knew where they had gone. When she could not reach Tunchanok, this friend went directly to the apartment building herself to look for her. There, she met the foreign man in person and asked him about Tunchanok, but the man told her the girl had disappeared on her own while he was asleep, and that he did not know where she had gone. But the friend did not believe that explanation. She immediately went to report to police, providing the address of the apartment building and a description of the foreign man. When police received this information, they immediately dispatched local officers near the area to verify the situation. When they arrived, they found that neither Tunchanok nor the foreign man the friend had described were there any longer. After confirming the situation, police immediately widened the search across the whole city of Pattaya, checking roads, public areas, and the security camera network throughout the area. Then, in the early morning of 27 June, police, tracing footage from security cameras, found a suitcase left beside a railway line, about a 10-minute drive from the apartment building. When the suitcase was opened, what appeared left every officer at the scene standing in silence. Before continuing, I want to take a moment to thank all of you who continue to support Crime Files O. The cases Crime Files O tells are not fictional stories. These are real cases, real families, and real pain, documented through court records, police reports, and verified reputable news sources. All information in this video comes from clear, publicly available sources released by authorities or mainstream media. The content in this video may be distressing for some viewers. If you feel uncomfortable, please stop and take care of yourself first. Crime Files O condemns all forms of violence. We tell these stories not to glorify the offender, but to remember those who have been lost, and to help the community better understand what is happening around us. If you find this content valuable, please subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Like the video if you'd like to support the channel. And leave a comment below. We read every single one and respond to your comments. Now, let's continue with Tunchanok's heartbreaking story. When Pattaya police approached the suitcase beside the railway line, they could not immediately know what was inside. The suitcase was black, large, left in a dark and deserted area. No one was around. Nothing suggested this was an ordinary matter. When it was opened, what they found left every officer at the scene standing in silence. Inside was the body of a young girl, curled up inside the suitcase, surrounded by her clothing and personal belongings. She was wearing clothing similar to what had been captured on the security cameras earlier. The entire area was immediately sealed off. Police recognized straight away this was not a natural death, and it was certainly not an accident. This was a homicide, and the person responsible had deliberately tried to conceal it by removing the victim's body from the original scene. The question arose immediately: who had placed this suitcase here? Where was the offender now? What was his motive for targeting the victim? And where had the victim been killed? The area around the railway line where the suitcase was found was completely sealed off shortly afterward. Pattaya police deployed officers to secure the scene, preventing the public from approaching while the forensic team was called in. At the same time, information about the apartment building, the last place Tunchanok was captured on camera, was passed on to the investigation team. Another group of officers immediately moved to the apartment building to search the relevant room and collect further evidence. Two scenes were processed in parallel: the railway area where the body was found, and the rented room in the apartment building, where, according to initial information, Tunchanok had gone the night before. The crime scene examination team worked at both locations at the same time. At the railway area, the suitcase and everything inside it were documented and carefully collected. The exact location of the suitcase, the direction of travel to that spot, and the surrounding traces were all recorded. At the rented room in the apartment building, the examination team inspected the entire space. The room was described as messy, with bottles of alcohol and personal items scattered about. The surfaces in the room, particularly the bathroom area, were examined closely for biological traces. Clothing found in the room, showing signs of having recently been washed, was also collected as a notable detail. No weapon was found at either scene. The body of Tunchanok Donhomla was taken to a forensic facility for official examination. The results determined she died of asphyxiation, specifically from strangulation. Multiple injuries were recorded on her body. Her family later stated her face was bruised, swollen, and that she had broken teeth, indicating direct physical assault before her death. The forensic findings confirmed this was a serious case of murder. The time of death was determined to be sometime between the night of 25 June and the early hours of 26 June, matching the time Tunchanok was last captured on camera entering the apartment building. The security camera system became the key element of the entire investigation. Pattaya police collected and analyzed footage from multiple cameras inside the apartment building, on the street outside, and in the surrounding areas. What appeared on screen reconstructed a clear and striking timeline. At 3:34 a.m. on 25 June, a camera in the apartment building's lobby captured a foreign man and Tunchanok. The two of them were holding hands as they walked into the lift. About 6 hours later, a camera captured this man walking out alone, wearing different clothes from when he went in, carrying a small bag. Tunchanok was never seen again. For the rest of that day, cameras in the surrounding area captured this man going shopping, running personal errands, going about an ordinary routine as if nothing had happened. By evening, a camera once again captured him, this time dragging a large suitcase out of the building through a rear exit. He carried the suitcase on a motorbike, riding off into the night. About half an hour later, he returned, no longer carrying the suitcase. This entire sequence, clearly captured across multiple cameras, became the most important body of visual evidence in the case. The identity of the man in the footage was established by police through the room rental registration at the apartment building. Under Thai regulations, all foreign renters must register using their passport. Combined with information provided by Tunchanok's friend after meeting him in person, police officially identified the man in the footage as Simon Peter Carman, 45, an Australian citizen who was renting a room at that apartment building. So why had the offender targeted the victim? Investigators were required to look closely into the lives of both the offender and the victim before this tragedy occurred. Through the investigation, they learned the offender was Simon Peter Carman, 45, an Australian citizen born in Victoria and raised in the southwest of Western Australia. People who knew him described a man who had gradually withdrawn from ordinary life over many years. He grew up in the small town of Jerramungup before moving to Albany, a coastal city in southern WA, with his family as a teenager. Carman had worked as a truck driver, physically demanding work requiring a great deal of strength. During his work, he suffered an injury, the specific details of which have not been made public, but the consequences were clear. He began using painkillers, and according to people who had known him, that was when everything began to change. He gradually withdrew, cut off contact with family and friends, and was no longer the person they had once known. Western Australian Premier Roger Cook confirmed that Carman had had multiple encounters with police during his time living in WA. His firearms license was revoked in 2023. He had tried to have it reinstated, but was unsuccessful. Before the COVID pandemic, Carman travelled to Thailand regularly. After the pandemic ended, he returned to Australia for a time, living in a small apartment in an industrial area on the outskirts of Rockingham, south of Perth. At the end of 2025, he left Australia and returned to Pattaya, this time staying on until this incident occurred. His social media history during his time in Australia, before moving to Thailand, shows comments about images of women, some complimentary, some offensive, and in some cases, him asking for their addresses. This was a man described by those who had known him as having cut everything off, and who chose Pattaya as the place he came to a stop. And the victim was Tunchanok Donhomla, commonly known by her nickname Cake, who grew up in Kalasin, a small province in northeastern Thailand. Her life did not begin easily. Her mother left when she was just 3 months old. Her father, Tunchanok Donhomla, had spent time in prison when she was young. During those years, she was raised by her aunt, Mi Boonsert, a 75-year-old woman who had loved her as her own from the earliest days of her life. Despite the difficult circumstances, Tunchanok was remembered by those around her as a child who always smiled. She did well at school. Her teacher, Nilnat Kulajitisathorn, described her as bright and well-behaved, but because of her family's circumstances, she had to switch to distance learning so she could study while earning money to help her family, working at a restaurant, selling flower garlands on the street during festivals. She still told her teacher she wanted to return to full-time study, but she never got the chance. Those close to her described her as someone who always hid her own hardships, always smiling, always cheerful, never wanting others to worry about her. She loved spending time with family. She would often buy cakes to bring home for her father, even without much money. And on setting off for Pattaya, she told her father the simplest thing possible. She wanted to see the ocean, because she had never seen the sea before. That was the last time her father heard her voice speak of a small dream, and the last time he saw her smiling at him. While Pattaya police were processing the scene and analyzing security camera footage, an urgent piece of information was established. Simon Peter Carman was no longer in Pattaya. Tunchanok's friend said that, after she went to the apartment building to ask about her friend, Carman had still been there, but not long after that meeting, he left carrying luggage. Security cameras in the area around the building confirmed this. Police quickly identified the most likely scenario. He was on his way to Bangkok, specifically to Suvarnabhumi International Airport, which has direct flights back to Australia. With more than 150 kilometers between Pattaya and Bangkok, he had had enough time to get there before police could act. This information was urgently passed on to airport security at Suvarnabhumi immediately, along with identification photos and passport details for Carman taken from his room rental registration in Pattaya. At the airport, security personnel verified the information and found Carman in the check-in queue for his flight, a flight back to Australia. He was stopped just minutes before boarding. When he was held and checked, officers immediately noticed clear scratches on his neck and arms, fresh injuries that could not be explained by an ordinary accident. When asked, he could not provide a convincing explanation. Carman was arrested on the spot and escorted back to Pattaya to assist with the investigation. He had traveled nearly 150 kilometers. He had reached the airport. He had joined the boarding queue, and he was only minutes away from escaping Thai police. At the Pattaya police station, Simon Peter Carman was formally questioned about the disappearance and death of Tunchanok Donhomla. In his first interview, Carman denied everything completely. He said the girl had disappeared from the room while I was asleep. According to him, he did not know where Tunchanok had gone or where she was. He had not done anything to her, and he knew nothing about the suitcase or what was inside it. This account directly conflicted with all the security camera footage police already had, but at that point, investigators had not yet presented the evidence to him. They recorded his statement and continued questioning him further, aiming to gather more information from him. After being shown the full security camera footage by police, from the two of them walking into the apartment building, to him walking out alone, to him dragging the suitcase out of the building at night, Simon Peter Carman began to change his statement. He admitted that Tunchanok had died in his room. He said the two of them had argued over money, and during that argument, he had strangled her. This was a partial admission, but even after this, Carman still denied the formal charges against him in court, including premeditated murder, concealing a body, and moving and destroying a body. Part 13 continued. He sent a video message to Tunchanok's family. In it, he said, "Her death was beyond my control. I know you'll be very sad, very angry, so am I. And tell other girls, be careful." Tunchanok's family refused to watch that message. After Carman's statement changed, Pattaya police proceeded to compile all the evidence to build the case file. The strongest point of this case file was not anyone's statement. It was the footage. The security camera system at the apartment building and surrounding areas had captured the entire sequence of events, from beginning to end, without missing a single link. This was the kind of evidence that could not be disputed, could not be explained another way, and did not depend on any witness's testimony. Alongside this, the forensic findings confirmed a cause of death consistent with Carman's partial admission, creating a direct link between his statement and the scientific evidence. The scratches on Carman's body when he was arrested at the airport, recorded and documented immediately, added another important layer of physical evidence to the case file. The statement from Tunchanok's friend, as the only person to have direct contact with Carman after the incident, provided an additional living witness perspective, something the camera footage alone could not replace. When all the evidence was placed side by side, the camera footage, the forensic findings, the physical evidence on Carman's body, and the direct witness testimony, the case file became airtight from every angle. There was no gap left for Carman to offer a different version of events, nor was there any angle for the defense to exploit doubt or mount a challenge. Each piece of evidence came from a different source, but all of it led to the same conclusion. And that was exactly what Thai prosecutors needed, to bring Simon Peter Carman before justice. Based on all the evidence gathered, Pattaya police formally recommended charging Simon Peter Carman with the following. First, premeditated murder. Second, concealing a body. Third, moving and destroying a body. In addition to these three charges, police also recommended a fourth charge relating to the fact that Tunchanok was a minor at the time of the incident, a detail that significantly increases the seriousness of the case under Thai law. Carman denied all the charges. Under Thai criminal law, premeditated murder can carry a sentence of life imprisonment or the death penalty. This is the highest possible penalty in the Thai legal system, and it is exactly what Tunchanok's family is calling for should Carman be convicted. Carman is currently being held at a prison in Pattaya while police complete their investigation. The case file will then be forwarded to the Office of the Attorney General of Thailand to decide whether there are sufficient grounds to bring the case to trial. An official trial date has not yet been set. As of the making of this video, the case remains under investigation. Simon Peter Carman is being held at a prison in Pattaya. No formal trial has yet taken place. No sentence has yet been handed down. Thai law allows a defendant or a defendant's family to pay compensation to a victim's family as a gesture of remorse, and this can affect the final sentence. Tunchanok's father has stated plainly, he refuses to accept any money from Simon Peter Carman. He said, "Even though I am poor, I will not trade my daughter's dignity for money. I love my daughter." Tunchanok's family have called for the maximum penalty should Carman be convicted, and they are waiting for the Thai justice system to deliver its answer. This is a question only the courts can answer, and that answer has not yet come. There is a question many people ask after learning about this case. How could a man do that, then immediately go and do his laundry, go shopping, chat with neighbors, as if nothing had happened? This is not a question of morality. It is a question of psychology, and the answer, according to criminal psychologists, lies in a trait people like Carman often display: the ability to separate emotion from action. An ordinary person, after being involved in something serious, whether an accident, an act committed in a moment of lost control, or any situation with irreversible, serious consequences, usually goes through a state of psychological shock, panic, and loss of behavioral control. They cannot simply carry on as normal because their brain will not allow it. But for some people, particularly those who have isolated themselves from social relationships for many years, who have grown used to not being accountable to anyone, the response after causing another person's death is entirely different. They switch into problem-solving mode, not because they feel nothing, but because they have learned how to switch that feeling off. Carman is not the first case like this. Throughout criminal history, no shortage of offenders have killed someone, then gone to eat, gone shopping, even gone out for entertainment before being caught. That behavior does not mean they don't know what they've done. It means they have decided that the next step matters more than the feeling. For Carman, the next step was destroy the evidence, wash the clothes, pack everything into a suitcase, and head home. Another point worth examining: Carman had lived apart from family and friends for years before moving to Thailand. His firearms license was revoked, multiple encounters with police, unusual comments on social media. These were signs that people around him saw, but no one connected them together. Not because they didn't care, but because in modern society, the line between someone who is simply a loner and someone who is dangerous is very hard to see from the outside until it's already too late. And that is the most frightening thing about this case. Not the violence, not the cruelty, but the ordinariness. The completely ordinary appearance of a man going shopping, doing his laundry, dragging a suitcase out into the night, without anyone seeing anything unusual at all. This case is not yet over. Carman is still in a prison in Pattaya. No trial has been held. No sentence has been handed down. But there is a question I want to put to you right now. Not to find a right or wrong answer, but for us to think about together. Under Thai law, premeditated murder can carry the death penalty. Tunchanok's father has called for that, should Carman be convicted. So in your view, what sentence would be appropriate for Simon Peter Carman if he is convicted of premeditated murder, life imprisonment, or the death penalty, or another sentence you feel would be most fitting? And in your view, is the Thai justice system strong enough to deliver justice for a 17-year-old girl in a case where the offender is a foreign national? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I read all of them. Tunchanok Donhomla was not the first, and sadly, she will not be the last. Every year, dozens of young women in major tourist cities around the world become victims of men they have only just met. Men from other countries, living in rented rooms no one knows the names of, who leave before anyone thinks to ask questions. The first lesson from this case is not for young women, it is for the systems around them. Tunchanok went to Pattaya. She went with a man. She messaged her friend. Her friend waited, and when she heard nothing back, she went to check in person, asked questions, reported it to police. That is what should be done, and her friend did exactly the right thing. But some things cannot rely on individual caution alone. Carman had been living in Pattaya for months. He had a history of encounters with police in Australia. His firearms license had been revoked. Unusual online behavior. That information existed in Australia, but it was never shared with Thai authorities. There was no mechanism to connect those signs together until it was too late. The second lesson is about isolation as a risk factor. Carman had isolated himself for years, away from family, from friends, from community. That does not mean everyone who is isolated is dangerous, but complete isolation, combined with other unusual behavioral signs, is something those around him, if anyone had been close enough to see, needed to pay more attention to. And the final lesson, perhaps the most heartbreaking, is about Tunchanok's dream. She only wanted to see the ocean, not a grand dream, not an extravagant ambition, just the ocean, something millions of people see every day without a second thought. She never got the chance to tell her father about that trip, but her story, though it ended in a way no one wanted, is being told by those who have not forgotten her name, by her father, who says that even though he is poor, he will not trade his daughter's dignity for anything, by her Aunt Me, who loved her since she was a 3-month-old baby, and by everyone watching this video, everyone who has taken the time to listen to the story of a 17-year-old girl who never got to live out the rest of her life. If you or someone you know is in a dangerous situation, whether it's violence, a mental health crisis, or any other serious issue, don't wait. Don't assume things will simply pass. And don't wait until it's too late to act. Contact the emergency line in your area right away. If you're in Australia, call 000 for immediate emergencies, or 1-1800-RESPECT on 1-1800-737-732 for domestic violence support. A line that operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, completely free. If you're in Thailand, call 191 for police. If you're in any other country, look up your local emergency line. It is always available, always free, and always there when you need it. One phone call can change everything. Make it before it's too late. Crime Files Aju produces this content for the purpose of informing and educating the community. We do not condone any form of unlawful behavior whatsoever. All information presented is based on verified news sources.